Diana, we appreciate you coming on in focus today, and condolences to you and your family as well. First off, are you able to just give us an update, if there is any, on your brother's death?
We find out today from the funeral home on cremation. The process that took so long was him being homeless and him being under the ministry and the circumstances of how he was found. So, and it being the holidays after the December 22nd, we ran right into holidays where people were not there. It was everybody's holiday, so we had to wait during the holidays, and then we had to wait for the release from the ministry, from the hospital, to the funeral home. Now he's at the funeral home. Now we're waiting for the date on a cremation.
Well, again, my condolences to you and your family. What do you think maybe needs to change to stop people from dying on the street? I know it's sort of a hard question to ask, but in your opinion, what sorts of things need to happen?
I think for terrorists here, like it's all over BC, homelessness, but for some places, people aren't biased the way they should be. If they know, this certain client or applicant or whatever, homeless person has a problem, they don't address the problem, they address the person, which makes it harder for the person to try and get, shelter. Two people, or three of them, or two, I'm not sure if it's two or three, that were banned from the shelter that my brother was trying to help that night. He lent them a coat. He went to go see if they were okay. They weren't allowed in the shelter because they were banned for some reason. I think it was alcohol. So my brother knows too that if he does consume alcohol, don't go to the shelter. They won't let you in. They'll give you a hard time. They should understand these people need more support than to say, go away, get away, go out, go do wherever you're going to go. It's hard to see people in the streets. Everywhere I go right now, everyone looks like my brother. Everybody looks like they're wearing the same stuff he wore.
Mm-hmm. Well, so you said, sorry, Diana, go ahead.
They just need to, change, the shelter policies, because when someone isn't allowed to go in there, and it was minus 24 that night that he passed in the wind chill. And when someone's not allowed to go in the shelter, my brother cares for them. My brother did care for them. He looked after them. He lent them his coat.
Well, unfortunately, there are so many stories, similar to yours across the country, and like you said, it's in Terrace and it's in BC, and unfortunately, it is all over the country. For an overall sort of question, like, what do you think is the reason for that? I had spoken with an advocate as well, and he said it's still the trauma and the healing that needs to be done from intergenerational survivors and survivors of residential school. What do you think maybe is the problem that it's such a widespread issue? Well,
in most of their cases, the alcohol seems to be their addiction. But with some, some of them, they try to put a stop to it. But, when it's done their time, when they've done, like my brother went to Integrity in Prince George. It was a 6-month program. He didn't complete it, but he had the offer. And he, the first fault, he was told to leave. Where did they let him go to? The streets. They didn't send him home. They didn't say, here's a bus ticket or wherever, whatever. They sent him on the streets of Prince George, and he had to find his way around, get to the welfare office, get some money, and he got his way home. I actually found a way for him to get home.
So then, is that also like a kind of support that you're calling for as well? Is like, what kinds of support specifically do you think are needed to help sort of change the way things are done, either for those that are houseless or those that may be in shelters and maybe have to leave the shelter for whatever reason? I
don't see very many addiction resources here at all. No, nothing that compares to, like we have to go, like I said, my brother had to go all the way to Prince George. Other people have to go all the other ways, like Roundtree is another one. The closest one, I believe, is in Hazelton, which is another, distance from Terrace. But it's still, there's no one to talk to here. There's no, not even a helpline for these people to call and say, my brother told me he was tired. He was tired of drinking. He was tired of being on the streets. I'm getting old, sister. I need somewhere to live. So I kept looking. I kept looking. But again, that brought back the problem of where, he was stereotyped, an alcoholic. He was stereotyped, loud person. He was stereotyped everything. They stereotype all of us. So, when they said, old saying says you all look the same, that's how it feels. It's what it looks like on the street when, they don't help them. They just send them back out there.
Now, I know there's been more, announcements for funding in terms of for various reasons that support this cause. But do you think it's enough, and do you think governments could be doing more to support those that are houseless?
Yes, there needs to be more done in Terrace. There is a complex going up through Kasan House, but that's for women fleeing abusive relationships with single women with children and elderly people fleeing, homes that were going to be deemed condemned. There's lots of places here that are getting condemned, and people have been living in there for, over 10, 15 years, and they're getting condemned, and there's absolutely nowhere to go in Terrace to rent, or even, apartment-wise or house wise. And if it is, then we've got another problem, right? It's the rent increase that everybody has to pay, and where there's just no solution with anything.
Well, and before we let you go, Diana, would you have any words for families who might be in a similar situation to yours, and any advice maybe on how to deal with it, or what to do next?
I've always looked after my brother on the streets. I always, took the time. Take your time, people. Take your time. Go see your family. Go see what's wrong. I'll ask them all the time, what can I do to help you? And I tried, but you couldn't find anything near here yet. They go 6-7 hours away. People, look after your homeless ones. Look after your sick. Look after your elderly. It's really hard when you lose someone. I lost my mother. It was December 23rd when we laid our mother to rest. 9 years prior, me and my brother were supposed to go to the grave and put something down that I made. He beat me to the grave. People, look after your homeless people. Look after your sick people. Look after the ones who are addicted and can't find the help. Help them. Help them find something. I've tried so hard with my brother, and I couldn't do it. I'm not qualified for those kind of things. Just like I'm not qualified to be a nurse, but I looked after my mother so well for 9 months before she died of cancer.
Well, Diana, you're certainly well spoken, and your words, I'm sure, will have an effect on a lot of people that are going to be watching this. So I want to say thank you, miigwech, to you for coming on our show and sharing a little bit of your story and what you think needs to be done. And again, certainly wish you the best of luck in your family going forward here.